What's up, fight fans? Thank you once again for coming through. Much appreciated. Remember, hit that subscribe button. I was supposed to do this video yesterday, as soon as this fight was announced, but I couldn't be asked, to be honest. So here we are talking about it right now. Dillian Whyte has finally got a fight. Didn't mean that to rhyme, just did. And he's taking on Helenius. He has a couple of good-ish wins on the record. I think he beat Lerkovic. I remember he beat Samuel Peter when Samuel Peter was still kind of serviceable. And I guess the record says he beat Derek Chisora, which he definitely didn't. I remember I actually watched that fight about a month ago. And the only reason I watched that fight again was because obviously there were rumors about Chisora versus Helenius. I think they were supposed to fight for the European heavyweight title. That fight got scrapped. And I actually scored that fight. I gave 4 rounds, maybe even 3 to Helenius, and I gave the other 8 or 9 potentially to Chisora. So that was a big, big robbery. I remember all the hoo-ha around the time. Freddie Roach was actually commentating on that fight, and he was disgusted with the fight. He gave Helenius 4 rounds as well. Anyway, F that. Obviously, this fight goes down October 28th at the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, and it's part of the big Anthony Joshua versus Pulev card. I like the fight and I don't like the fight. I think to put a fight on of that magnitude, and I say that magnitude, it's a decent fight in the heavyweight division on 2 weeks' notice is bullshit, to be honest. I don't understand how that's possible. I really don't understand how it's possible. Obviously, there were rumors that Dillian Whyte was going to be on the card anyway, so I guess Dillian Whyte was in shape and ready to go. But I don't know if Helenius had an opponent or was maybe scheduled to fight someone. If not, I don't know how a guy that's 6'7" gets in shape in 2 weeks. I just don't. He's a big, big guy, and I think guys like that need a lot longer to try and get into not just shape, but fighting shape. Forget physical shape, just fighting shape. I think they've put it on the card because I think the card isn't that great. I don't think the hype for Joshua Pulev is there. I mean, look, it's going to sell out because it's Joshua, but in terms of a pay-per-view event, you look at the card and it's got what Frank Buglioni's on the card, and you've got a couple other people on the card below it, and then you've got, I think, a very, very good fight, to be fair, in terms of Kawi Fire versus Ishida, but that doesn't get the casual fans excited, right? It gets me excited because I think it's a very, very good fight, but I think the casual fans are looking at it and thinking the card ain't great, so I think just to get Dillian Whyte on it. And I think that's why they put Dillian Whyte on the card on 2 weeks' notice. This Dillian Whyte thing, and I think he's blocked me, by the way, on Twitter because I don't know, I've not said anything too hurtful, but I think the Dillian Whyte hype, I don't get it. I believe you me, I don't get it. I don't know if it's because he talks a lot. I don't know if it's because he comes across as quite mean and quite aggressive, which is always good for the heavyweights, right? Tyson done it very, very well. But I still always do this, and people might say, Ade, shut up. I just look at the record. I look at the record, I look at the performances, and I don't see what people are going crazy about. And I think we've got fans out there that get fighters' egos way too high. Fans out there are saying, oh, fight Wilder, you'll smash Wilder. I'm not the biggest fan of Wilder, but I don't see what Dillian Whyte's done in his back catalogue that will suggest he smashes Wilder. There's so much that's going on, and I feel like with Dillian Whyte, I feel like there's no direction. It almost is though Eddie Hearn doesn't know what to do with him, so it's almost as Eddie Hearn lets him off the leash, destroy as many fighters as you can in the top 10 on Twitter, and hopefully one of them will bite back. Obviously he's called out Bellew. Bellew's a bit of a money fight right now. He's called him a pussy, pardon my French. Joseph Parker's been called a pussy. Deontay Wilder obviously has been called a pussy. I believe Anthony Joshua at one stage in the last couple of weeks has been called a pussy. That doesn't get you fights. That doesn't get you fights. And I don't know that Eddie Hearn knows exactly what to do with him. He talks as though he's the most avoided heavyweight in the history of boxing, which obviously isn't true. I speak to a lot of fighters personally, and people want to fight him. I mean, Derek Chisora is the one that really does stand out. Derek Chisora has been begging for that rematch. And I don't know if you guys saw, IFL TV done a very, very good video, which I'm surprised they let go and let people see. It's you've got Derek Chisora, Tony Bellew, and Eddie Hearn all together. And this is just prior to the Tony Bellew, David Haye final presser. So if you guys can check it out on IFL TV's page, go and check it out. And basically Derek Chisora is asking Eddie Hearn, give me the rematch. Like, I want the rematch. And Eddie Hearn says, I know, but I've asked Dillian, and Dillian doesn't fancy it. I've said to him that the money's there, and the money, you know, I've said to him, look, fight Derek, this is the money you get. Fight ABC, this is the money you get. Basically, Eddie Hearn is trying to basically say that Fighting Derek gets you more money than fighting the likes of Parker and Bellew and Deontay Wilder. And Dillian Whyte just doesn't fancy that fight for me. And I think the fight was a lot tougher than he expected it to be. And I actually thought Derek Chisora won that fight. I thought Derek Chisora won it by a couple of rounds, and I just don't think he fancies it. So he will make it out as though he's the most avoided fighter on the planet. That's not true. That's not true. Don't tell me Derek Chisora versus Dillian Whyte isn't a bigger fight on the undercard than it would have been for Dillian Whyte versus Helenius. Yeah, no. Maybe it's a pay-per-view fight by itself, I don't know, but there are fighters out there willing to fight Dillian Whyte. Helenius is a decent-ish fighter. I think he's only lost once, and that was by knockout to Dupas. Is it Dupas? Dupas has been in there with the likes of Alexander Povetkin and Deontay Wilder, so it's not a bad loss on the record. But again, I don't know what to make of him. He had a stall in his career when he was going through issues with the Sauerlands, in terms of a promotional issue. So he was out of the ring, I think, for about 18 months. I think that slowed his progress. But in terms of him being a top 10 heavyweight, I don't have him in that anymore. I do think it's good for someone like Dillian Whyte to fight someone that tall and that big, because at the end of the day, if you do want rematches with Anthony Joshua, obviously the height factor is going to be played in. Potentially, I guess, Tyson Fury down the line, again, another big guy. Deontay Wilder, a big guy. So I think it's important to fight someone of that stature and just get that experience of fighting guys that big. But hopefully, if he does come through this, I do expect to hopefully see him in the ring. Possibly Parker, possibly Big Baby. That could be a big fight. He's asking for that fight. And then you get through those guys, then maybe you get the big fights against the Wilders and the Joshuas, and again, maybe even the Tyson Furies. But I don't personally think just shouting on Twitter and Instagram and putting up memes, calling people pussies and blah 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 gets you the big fights. You've got to prove to me you're that good. And so far, I think you're a top 15 heavyweight, but I think the heavyweight division is very, very thin. I just want to see more from you. I just want to see more. I don't think you beat Chisora, and obviously we know you lost to Joshua, so I think the biggest name on your record... Who's the biggest name in your record? I don't know who it is. Minto? Did you fight Minto? I can't remember. So let's see a bit more from Dillian Whyte. It beats Helenius. It's a good win. It's a good scout. But again, you were supposedly in shape for a fight. I don't know how in shape Helenius is, and I don't know if he's just coming for a payday. I'm not sure. But guys, what do you think of this matchup? Am I being too critical on Dillian Whyte? Does he have a lot to prove, as I think he does? Or is he ready for a title fight? I mean, could he beat a Joseph Parker right now? Possibly. Could he beat Deontay Wilder right now? How would he do in a Joshua rematch? I'm not sure, but I just don't buy the hype. And I guess that's probably why he's blocked me. But here we have it. We have two guys that are fighting on the undercard, and I think both of them will beat by Chisora. I don't know what that means. I'm not trying to say Chisora right now smashes both, but I'm just trying to say both were beaten by Chisora. And Chisora's fighting for a European title in, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. And these guys are fighting for the WBC silver title that puts them, I guess, in a position to maybe get a mandatory for Deontay Wilder. That's boxing for you.